Hello, this is Mick for Get Your Rock Out, here with Fiona from Apparition at Dames of Darkness Festival. So obviously the band's through so many lineup changes. You've come and gone over here. It's finally back. Is it finally to a structure? It seemed I've actually seen 2 shows with a consistent lineup now. So what's it like actually having that together again?
It's really good actually, because we did do like last year when I first came back from Australia, and we spent some time doing a couple of gigs, and we did have a couple of different drummers, so it was a bit of a drama sometimes. But no, we've been very, very lucky to have Ash join us from Benediction, and he's a great asset to the band, and he really does pull it together and give us that real foundation that we need. And it's great also to have Amy in the band as well, and to have that 2 guitarist dynamic, especially with a male and a female guitarist. It's nice to have another female in the band, I must say. But it is good, and sometimes it's quite strange, because some of the older songs that we play, I look around sometimes and look at the band and think, yes, I remember when these were created, and it's a completely different lineup. But it's nice to look around and still see Dave and think, yeah, we're still doing this, we're still here, and it still matters, and people are still really enjoying it too. That's what makes a difference for me, I think.
Fair enough. You mentioned Amy being in the band, and now you have finally have another woman to gang up with the guys. She's actually really technical guitarist, so I was actually really impressed with her first time I saw her. Is it easier to communicate the song structures now, to get all the songs together?
I think so, yeah. I mean, rehearsals are a little bit of a challenge for us, because we all live at diametrically opposite parts of the country. So, I mean, this year, for instance, we only had 1 rehearsal. And obviously with Ash being part of Benediction, and he also is drum tech for Fearless Vampire Killers. So he's on tour an awful lot, and it can be difficult to actually pull together and do that rehearsal dynamic. So we do tend to do our own little bits aside from that. So Amy is very well rehearsed, and she spends a lot of time thinking, practicing, working on things. So when we come together, it does kind of work. But I think that ideally we'd love to be able to rehearse a little bit more.
So yeah, you've had time away from Apparition. What's been your favourite song that you've not wrote with the band?
That I've not wrote with the band? Okay,
that you'd like to perform?
That's quite interesting, because some of the last album was in creation when I was still there. So some of the songs, it was quite interesting. And when the album came out, and it was finalised, and Mariella guest vocaled on the album, it was beautiful to hear, because I remember those songs when they were in their infancy, and I remember they were called different things at the time, where I remember that structure, I remember this. So it was really nice to hear them finally. But I think Betrayed, I think I like that one. I don't know why, but I do. I think it's because it challenges me more as a vocalist.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's very difficult to write songs that were, to sing songs that were, written and kind of nurtured and finalised by another vocalist, because you have your own unique style.
Yeah.
And Mariella and myself have very, very different vocal styles. So that can be quite a challenge, but I think I really do like that one, because it has that kind of raw edge and that passion. It's really in there, so that really gets it for me.
So on the flip side of that, what's been your favourite song performed by another singer in Apparition but you worked on?
Oh wow, okay. I think that I really, really loved when I actually saw Apparition several years ago now, with Sam, with Samantha, and she did Salvation, and it was pretty amazing, and I thought she did a really, really good job. And actually another gig they actually got me up to do a bit of a guest, so me and her did it together, so that was really, really lovely experience. But I really enjoyed that. Yeah, I think Sam was a beautiful vocalist, and she was a great frontwoman too.
Okay. So Dames of Darkness, such a big event. Obviously the bassist of your band organises the whole thing. It's showing a big grow in the culture of female-fronted music, and I know a lot of people don't like when people say female-fronted. Where's your position on that, by the way?
It's interesting, really, because people talking about that and saying, actually, should we call it that because it's oppressing women and all that stuff? But, are you oppressed if you need to be told you're oppressed? Isn't that oppressing you if you're told that you are oppressed? I think that everybody needs to come to their own conclusion on that. And I think that it does give a certain edge to it, which I think is part of, there are certain people who really love the idea of beautiful female vocals, nice sounds, rich and warm, and it gives it a certain edge, and I think it has kind of become that. And language is only a label at the end of the day, and it's up to everybody to come to their own conclusions on that. So I guess I'm middle fence there. I'm probably a bit of a Lib Dem on that one. But it's quite interesting because, when Dave first started this, going right back, I was at the very first Dames of Darkness. We did that together. We put it on. And I remember sitting in the car, coming back from a gig in Birmingham, which wasn't a great turnout, and it was difficult. And we all, as three bands that did it, three bands with similar kind of music, a little symphonic, female-fronted, if you want to call it that. And we turned around and we looked at each other. We should, if there was an event. And I actually said to him, it'd be great, if I could have like my own festival, I would call it Fee Fest, but that was actually a bit of a joke, and I would never ever do that because it's awful. But I actually said no, we could put on a really awesome festival because we know good music, and we know lots of people who also know good music and could help us, and give us recommendations. People like yourself, people like Taylor. That's what matters. So we sat there 6-7 years ago now. You know what? We should just do it, shouldn't we? We just should. So we did, and it worked. And I'm so proud of Dave for how much he's kept it going. And when I saw last year's as well, I was like, wow. And I remember sending him a message all the way back from, down under, to say, wow, Dave, I'm so proud of you. You've really done a tremendous job. And this year, he just keeps doing it, doesn't he?
So what's it like seeing it grow from that first instance to now it's a two-day affair?
It's pretty amazing, actually, because I remember last year when we were talking about this, and Dave said, so are you thinking of coming back then? Do you think you'll be doing the festival? And I said, yeah, you should so do a 2-day, because he was talking about the sorts of bands that had contacted him to say, we're interested. And I said, you need to do a 2-day here, because, this is something that can be quite phenomenal, and I think that it's so difficult in the UK now to do this sort of thing and to get that kind of crowd. And I think if we had that dedicated weekend, I said, I think it would be such an amazing opportunity and some beautiful headliners, and I think that's what really matters as well.
I think it's really growing in the UK too, because we had Quinphonic Festival at the beginning of April.
Yes, I know, I couldn't make it to that one unfortunately, but it looked like it was a really, really good
Yeah,
opportunity.
it's just this culture that's growing, but at the end of the day, I'm still seeing the same faces over and over and over again.
I mean, that takes me back actually. It does. I remember back in 2005, so we're going back now, oh my gosh, 10 years, doing the first ever Femme Fatale stage at Woodstock with Liquid Sky. And it was, the whole reason why Vince Bloodrich put that together is because it was difficult for bands that were trying to do something a little bit different like that to really get a foot in the UK market.
Yeah.
Because UK is tough, it's hard, and a live scene is really difficult. And I remember with Liquid Sky years ago, we agreed as a band, look, we're going to have to try and pull together, get with others, and do something bigger, because on your own, in your own little town, it's just not going to work. And it was all about uniting, coming together, and actually, together we're all stronger and we all support each other. And I love these events because everyone is such wonderful people, they're so nice.
Yeah, it's such a dedicated crowd.
Yeah, and we support each other, we're lending gear, helping each other out, pulling this, running around getting food for each other. It's like a family, isn't it, at the end of the day? And that's what makes a difference for me.
Yeah. So, is there any new Apparition music on the horizon?
There certainly is. I'm actually really, really pleased to say that a very, very good friend of ours, Paul Cully, is actually coming on board as a writer with the band. And we've spent the last 6 months working with him, and I actually did some work with him in draft form a couple of years ago under the name of Calinaris. And we've actually been developing some of that music and adding the Apparition stamp to it. So myself, Paul and Dave have been working together to write, and we've actually got everything laid out now ready for the album recording that's taking place in September and October in Poland at Hertz Studio. So we're spending a month in the studio to record, mix and master. So we'll have a new album.
Oh right, that's fantastic.
About 12 songs. That's a lot of music.
One thing, always love to end on this one, and I love this question.
Okay.
So all the records in the world are being destroyed. You can only save one record. What are you saving?
Gosh. That's just such a cruel question.
Say the Conservatives are having a massive cull of everything.
Oh no, we're not being burnt at the stake, are we? I think I'd be first dressed like this, wouldn't I? Okay. I'm a playlist person. I always thought maybe I should be a DJ. I have actually DJed before, which is quite funny. Usually drunk, unfortunately. Someone's not turned up, so I get up and have a go. I'm a playlist person, and I think that it's really difficult for me to choose albums, and it also goes along with my mood and my emotions, so it will change on year by year. Okay, so perfect mixtape then. Perfect mixtape. Who would it involve? Yeah. Oh gosh. Okay, this is going to be quite tough. I think it would actually involve a lot of the bands from today. and because that's quite a passion for me, and it's something that I always return to. But I'm also quite a metal and industrial girl, so there's a lot of Rammstein in there. There's a lot of Seven Dust. There's a lot of stuff like that for me. I'm really into more of that side as well. In Flames, that kind of stuff. I even like my old metal, like my old Megadeth and Metallica and stuff like that. But I'm also really interested in a lot of new out there stuff, like the new James Debris albums from the last couple of years. I thought were really, really cool. I mean, the guy apparently he actually said, "Look, I've written all this music, and if you sing for me, I'll call my band after you, James." And he said, "Go on then." And for me, that's amazing. And I'm a big Lacuna Coil fan as well. Also quite a big Nightwish fan. And I do like my Evanescence as well. I think more of the older stuff. I think that's part of that scene when I was growing into it 10 years ago now. 10 years I've been doing this. So.
Yeah,
that's I'm into my mixes, but I think if I had to choose, it'd be a Rammstein playlist.
A Rammstein playlist.
Yeah.
That would be brilliant. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.